Hello, film fans. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. My name is Martin Harries, your host, and I'm joined by the film encyclopedia man, Boaz Dix. We are a couple of filmmakers on occasion, but mainly can't stop yapping about movies. On this podcast, every episode we pick a topic from a film that's coming out at the cinema or on VOD. Myself and Boaz pick our favourite film from that topic, and we battle it out to decide which film will become the greatest film of all time, according to two film geeks from Wiltshire, England. If you enjoy this podcast, please leave us a review and subscribe. Welcome to the Film vs. Film podcast. This is the Red Queen taking over. Martin is now dead from a mutant virus.
You sound like a character from bloody...
It's the Red Queen, shut up.
No. You sound like a Monty Python character. He's not the Messiah.
Maybe.
It's not a video game. It's a movie.
I'm the Blue King.
Yeah. You bastard.
Anyway, Martin is back now from the Blue King and the Red Queen. Who took over for a few seconds, but I'm back. It's fine, people.
No, he's off. He's back from his drug trip. The hell are you smoking? Anyway.
This week, as Uncharted is out to try and lift the video game curse that has existed for many, many a year, which I have a feeling will probably continue after Uncharted, but there we go. So we'll be doing video game adaptations to sift through all the dross and the crap that video game history has provided. So yeah, we'll be picking our favorite.
Yeah,
I'm hesitant to say favorite video game adaptations.
Yeah, it's just the ones that are okay, just not the shit show of other ones. Yeah.
And of course, I am joined by our resident mutant zombie, Boaz Dix. How are you, sir?
Resident Evil zombie. Yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Yeah,
good. Should we go with your film first then?
Yep.
What is your pick for video game adaptation?
Sonic the Hedgehog.
Nice. Why did you pick this one?
It's just one of those ones that I hadn't seen yet and kind of passed me by, and I just wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
And I heard it was okay, which was a surprise to me because I didn't think it was going to be any kinds of good from the first reactions to the trailers and stuff. So yeah, that's essentially the reason. Just wanted to check it out. It's a perfect excuse to.
Nice. Any other films in contention, or you just
I'm trying.
Wanted to go for this one because you hadn't seen it?
I would think this was kind of just the main one I was thinking. I was thinking Resident Evil and Tomb Raider. I watched those. Any ones that are also in contention? I'm not sure. It's either I've watched video game films which are just terrible, or they're okay but like they're nothing like the source material.
Yeah.
So
because you're quite a big gamer, aren't you?
I'm not like a huge gamer, but I play a few games.
All right.
So like, for example, Prince of Persia I thought was all right, but as an adaptation it's like, what the hell is this? The story is not at all what the game is. And that was kind of annoying, but stuff like that.
So what happens in Sonic the Hedgehog?
So, Sonic is a hedgehog from an alien.
And blue.
And he's blue. Dabba-dee, dabba-die. He's, from an alien world and shit. And he comes to Earth. What was it? He has like an adopted owl mother who lets him go, makes him escape to Earth before they're caught and stuff. And he lives in Earth for quite a while in Montana.
Green Hills.
And the Blue Devil, and he basically knows all the townspeople, but they don't get a chance to see him. He's got to keep hidden. And one day he just gets really pissed off that he's so alone, sort of throws a temper tantrum, and like basically explodes or causes like a huge thing, EMP, which shorts out all the electricity from the East Coast or something. West Coast, I can't remember. So the government send in a scientist to work out what's going on, and that is Dr. Robotnik, played by Jim Carrey.
Carrey,
who is his most Jim Carrey than he has been in a while. He is really channeling his Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Holy shit! This is like
which is glorious to see.
It is amazing to see. It is like fascinating. It's the sort of stuff that'll be in documentaries. It's like, yeah, he really goes for it. So Dr. Robotnik is trying to get Sonic. This is essentially the plot, and Sonic's trying to. It's not complicated. Sonic's trying to retrieve his bag of rings so he can leave the planet. Yeah, and that's about it, really.
I really like this film. I mean, it's fine. I think really, really like is quite a strong sentence.
Yeah.
But it's fun, you know. Doesn't overcomplicate things. Yeah, it's just nice to hang out with Sonic at times.
It's a short popcorn movie. You know, it's pretty enjoyable. A lot of really cool action and stuff. You know, some funny moments. Yeah, it's pretty serviceable. You know, it's. I think what helps it is the fact that I thought it was going to be awful a while ago, and for it to be like, it's pretty good. You know, I mean, that makes it even better, I suppose.
Yeah.
But, there are problems I have with it, genuinely, but you know, But you know, it's an okay film.
Also, I think before we get started, this is a fairly new film. Only came out in 2020, so if you haven't seen it, probably don't listen to this right now. Go watch it first, then listen, because we'll be talking spoilers. So yeah, I remember playing the game at the time, or some of the games, and it it was quite frustrating playing. You know, when you have like game over, you haven't got enough rings. I'm like, fuck's sake, got to do it again. I'm not the biggest fan of platformer type games, but you know, I enjoyed this film.
Yeah.
So directing then, firstly, I think Sonic should be reported for racism towards tortoises. Yes, he saves his life, but he might have wanted to commit suicide, and we could have had a whole incredible situation here. Besides that, Sonic says to him, it must be rough being slow all the time. I'm like, if I'm the tortoise, I'm saying, fuck you for calling me slow like that. I don't need superpowers to move.
Yeah.
Then Sonic decides to traumatize the poor fella by taking him for a ride at high speed.
Yeah.
And then accidentally letting him go, thinking he's about to be killed. And when he does let him go, the poor fella is shaking in terror. The tortoise should sue, in my opinion. Also, I think the raccoons are in the wrong film.
Yeah. I think, maybe the tortoise will be a supervillain or something, you know.
Should be a sidekick to Dr. Robotnik.
Yeah, that would be cool.
You traumatized me as a child. I'm going to kill you now.
Sonic meets Slow the tortoise.
One step at a time.
Your arch nemesis.
I love the action scene on the highway where they're being chased by like the Russian doll evil tech.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of like a few comic book films like The Dark Knight, where the first vehicle looks a bit like Christian Bale's Batmobile in shape. And also when it crashes, another like smaller vehicle comes out of the front wheels, just like in The Dark Knight. Then it goes from that to like a unicycle, a mini helicopter, and then just like a bomb. You know, I just love the creativity in that scene. I think my favorite bit was when like the second robot fires like loads of electrical discs and Sonic picks up one and like slides on the other two to the robot, then destroys it. Plus it feels quite similar to like the Winter Soldier scene in Captain America where Bucky fires like an explosive disc that slides along the ground that destroys Nick Fury's car. So I love like, you know, Robotnik's technology in this film. It kind of looked futuristic enough for a great like fantasy film, but at the same time kind of like grounded enough to feel real. You know,
it does look like it was it's all designed by Steve Jobs or something, you know, all sleek and yeah, it looks pretty nice. Yeah, I think there are quite some really cool action scenes in this one. I like that. I liked his fight in the well, it's not much of a fight, but his sort of Quicksilver moment in the bar. Yeah, that was really cool.
Oh yeah. That's my favorite scene.
Yeah, I think that's my favorite. Definitely. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Where he's just, putting everything in position and stuff.
It's a bit of a copy, but I'll allow it, it's fine.
Yeah. I think especially because there was no fast Quicksilver scene in like Dark Phoenix or whatever. They kind of missed that out. So, pick up the slack. They might as well do that.
What was your favorite bit in that scene? Quicksilver scene,
the Quicksilver one. I'm trying to think. Like,
that's what we'll call it.
Yeah. I like where he was he kind of super speeds up and starts painting on that guy's face and then putting the candles in his ears or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was weird.
Wasn't that like ketchup and mustard?
Yeah.
I think my favorite gag is when Sonic like wraps two dudes in toilet paper, and then when they go back to normal speed. I thought they'd cut that bit out, but but no, the two guys come out into shot, and it was just perfect the way they do it. You know, the way they just stumble into shot and fall over. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah.
I love the action at the end where Dr. Robotnik is chasing Sonic, and Robotnik is shooting lasers at him. And Sonic uses the rings to teleport to the Great Wall of China and the pyramids in Egypt.
Yeah, that was really cool.
But I have a bone to pick with Robotnik, though, because he says to Sonic, "You're not allowed up there. It's one of the 7 wonders." And I'm like, hang on, you just shot a bigger hole in the Sphinx where his nose should be. You know, the Sphinx is still part of the 7 wonders.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah, so there's the Great Wall. He blew a couple of holes in that.
Yeah. So, you know, a bit of a hypocrite, in my opinion. But the action looked really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Also, the mushroom planet looked disgusting. I definitely wouldn't survive there. I'm not the biggest fan of mushrooms, so I'd be screwed.
I like his look at the end. Like, because, you know, he's getting more and more Dr. Robotnik-y through the film. Like, you know, he's wearing black leather. He looks like you know, I think one of the guys says, looks like he's a Men in Black. And it just kind of evolves to more and more ridiculous, you know, until, you know, the end scene. He's absolutely off his rocker, and he looks exactly like Robotnik with the crazy moustache. You know?
Yeah, with that giant
tash.
The
giant tash.
So directing score for me, it does certainly feel like it's inspired by a lot of other films in the design of the action, which I've no big problem with, but it's certainly noticeable. Yeah, I think it's directed pretty well, to be fair. I don't think it's trying to do anything too complicated. Yes, they kind of copying the Quicksilver stuff, but yeah, I liked it. So I'll go like an 8.1. How about you, sir?
I'll go a 7.4 or something.
Screenplay, then. The first 4 minutes goes at like a lightning pace, where we go straight into the action. Where Dr. Robotnik is chasing Sonic in a big city, and it looks amazing. Then all of a sudden, the whole film like rewinds to the start, where Sonic is a kid in his home world, and I'm like, okay, we're going to spend some time in his home world. Nope. Before we get to know this world and the Obi-Wan Kenobi character, he's chased off the world and into our world. And I was like, what was the point in that? I was like, just start on his home world, spend some way more time there, or just do the homeworld stuff in flashbacks or something. I just felt it was really quick and a bit pointless.
It was pretty quick. And you know, I thought it was setting up for a gag because, you know, he's like, nobody's found me yet to his, you know, adoptive mother. And then all these guys come in and I'm like, oh, okay, you know, something's going to happen here, maybe something funny. But it's like, oh, no, you know, he's got to leave Earth, leave his planet and go to Earth. You know, I think it's one of those things where it doesn't get you, because, you know, like his surrogate mother is probably dead now, but it doesn't give you enough time, ironically, to like actually care, you know?
No.
So
no.
And, you know, I think, you know, that would have been a thing. I mean, you know, it's his, you know, mother figure is dead or something. And, you know, he struggles with this idea of not wanting it to happen to Earth as well, you know, because of him, and he might have to leave. But yeah, because that beginning is just blitz through, you don't really sort of get a chance to really feel it.
I mean, the only thing I really recognized was kind of some of the shapes that you actually see in the game. But you never really get time to explore that stuff. Maybe we will in the second one.
Yeah, probably.
So there's obviously that Tails gag, Tails post-credit scene, isn't there? Most of the film is pretty predictable until like the last couple of scenes where you think Sonic, Tom, and Maddie are trapped on top of a skyscraper, but by Dr. Robotnik. I was like, Robotnik, where I didn't expect Sonic to push Tom and Maddie off the building. Yeah. Then, like, Robotnik fires a load of bullets and the rockets at Sonic, and he goes into, like, super slow motion again. I was like, really? You can't do the same thing twice. You know, that's not going to be that satisfying. But I love the fact that Robotnik manages to press the button that makes his ship go at the same speed as Sonic.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
So he nearly doesn't save his friends. That was a cool change-up. I didn't expect that. But then I really hated the pointless fourth wall break when Sonic basically presses pause and says, here we are again. I'm like, yes, we get it.
Yeah.
We go back to the start, which is now at the end of the film. Stop pausing the action. That was annoying.
Yeah.
It's just a really annoying trope I don't really like. Did you like that? Or
Well, I mean, I've seen it before, but yeah, I mean, it is kind of a trope. It does remind me. I think one of the first films I ever saw that did that was The Emperor's New Groove, and so any film that does that just reminds me of The Emperor's New Groove. Where it's like tells the you start at the end of the story and it's like, I bet you're wondering how I got here, and then so I've seen it plenty of times, but. Yeah, I kind of see what you mean. Like even when the film began, it's one of those, Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't feel like it was needed, to be honest. I'm like, you got enough personality in the character himself. Like, you don't need to add something annoying like that.
I also don't think it really kind of makes that much sense because, like, it's not ending on some sort of crazy moment of note. It's just, I mean, he fights Dr. Robotnik and his robots quite a few times. So, and I mean, in the narrative of the film, Robotnik now is a threat. But I don't think that requires you to say, how did I get here and go back in time. I don't think it's as big a moment. Maybe if it was like at the end of the film and it looks like he's dead, then you can go, oh, how did I get here? Yeah. And then mess with people's expectations. Otherwise, I just think you're doing it because you think it's cool or whatever. So
there's some cool lines. I'm sorry, Major. What was your name? Betting. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
My name is Dr. Robotnik, but my dentist calls me Rob. I surpassed everything you're ever going to do. Before I was a toddler, I was spitting out formulas while you were still spitting up formula. I was breastfed, actually. Nice, rub that in my orphan face. Yeah. I'm wet, I'm cold, there's a fish on my head, and I'm clearly not going to be able to do this on my own.
Yeah. Oh, that was funny, where he was talking to the army guy, and he was like, well, he says to his number two, is he still looking at me funny? And his agent's like, yes, he is. Tell him to stop or I'll put up his search history.
Yeah, that's good.
I think one of my favourite moments is when when Jim Carrey sees Sonic for the first time. And, he's threatening Tom with his drone. He's going to shoot him in like 5 seconds. He's like, you can't threaten a police officer. He's like, you can't threaten someone who doesn't exist, So it's getting quite serious. And then Sonic comes out and he's like, okay, I'll go with you. I love Jim Carrey's scream. It's not really a line, but it's like that. And then, Tom punches him out. But just how he does it, I don't think you can replicate it. It's just, it's a Jim Carreyism that only Jim Carrey could do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, holy shit, that is the most amazing Jim Carrey reaction ever. Especially to seeing, a blue alien. You think, that's kind of how you would react.
Who do I look like? An imbecile? Of course I want a latte. I love the way you make that.
Yeah, that was great, yeah. Yeah, that was good.
But I think my favourite line, though, is the acknowledgement that the family joke in Fast and the Furious is real. And Sonic says, I feel just like Vin Diesel. It's all about family time.
Yeah.
I was like, yes!
That's pretty good. Yeah.
The memes are justified.
Yeah. I quite like that. I think, like, my main sort of, I suppose, gripe with the film, like, from a story perspective, I actually did enjoy much of the... Okay. I enjoyed much of the dialogue. I thought it was... Even like, the kind of rubbisher jokes, at least put a smile on my face. So, So, like, at the end, where the army guy thinks they're going to get a huge reward and gives them a... Olive Garden voucher or something. I mean, that's kind of funny. So at least you get a smile on your face. And there's a lot of Jim Carrey, and he's fucking hilarious. I think, we were talking about the action. There's some parts of the plot I don't quite get. It's like, Sonic is obviously meant to be as fast as the plot allows. It's just some things I don't quite like. So one, how all this is kind of started because Sonic throws a bit of a temper tantrum, which I don't think is the most compelling sort of way to sort of start this going.
Well, because he's lonely, isn't he? He does that.
Yeah, I suppose.
He does this.
Supercharged.
Was it baseball sequence?
Yeah, that was cool. I like that.
Where he's playing like all the basemen and stuff. But I guess with the logic of it is, I'm not sure how. I don't know. Maybe I'm going way too deep into this, but it felt a bit off, the fact that he's going so fast that he's playing all these different characters.
Yeah.
I don't know. Compared to like all the other fast stuff.
But this is the thing I was saying, like him being kind of as fast as the plot allows it, because some of the stuff he does here, I'm like, how is there even a film? Why wasn't this solved in the first 5 minutes? You know, there's some things I don't get. So it's like the military are on him. He has the rings. And then he's like, he's going to throw them, but he's like, oh, they're just outside. And then walks out the door. It's like, dude, you have enough time to throw the ring. You could do it at super speed. You could have been gone at the beginning of the film. And then I'm thinking, how does he also get shot by Tom with a tranquilizer dart? He can, like, stop time. You know, it's things like that. Why does he need Tom to drive him anywhere? Yeah. He literally made it to the to the Pacific Ocean. Just, he says, like, he doesn't know where he's going. Tom should have just handed him a map.
Well, he wants the company,
yeah,
doesn't he?
But I'm just like, wow, a lot of the start of this film I don't think should make sense. But then again, maybe I'm just being a bit too nitpicky, because a lot of films have to do this. Or, a lot of works of fiction have to do this. I do think he is quite overpowered. Like, even from the off, that some of the beginning, plot beats, for you to have a movie, just don't make any sense to me. I'm like, why didn't you just literally run at the speed of light, like you do kind of at a whim, and just get this over with,
Yeah. Because he could literally just push the car.
Yeah, literally, he could push the car
with Tom.
Yeah, he could push it like several times the speed of sound, just and get to get to there in like 2 minutes.
Oh, I got my rings. I'll have me mushrooms now.
Yeah. So I would say that was like my main gripe, like plot wise, with the film. I think maybe just because they have a character who is very powerful, and they kind of demonstrate him a bit too overpowered, I think, at the beginning.
Yeah, I think you're right, probably.
I think maybe what I would have done is not make him so extremely powerful at the beginning, or at the very least weaken him immediately and then have him gain in power. Because I just find it odd where, you get these random bits where he can literally sort of do whatever the hell he likes, and you're like, what the fuck?
But I think a lot of that stuff is because he's a lonely blue hedgehog, He wants some friends. He doesn't want to run away from everyone. Yeah.
Do you think he's intentionally padding out the journey? I could actually solve this pretty quickly, but I kind of like the...
Oh, yeah.
I like this adventure and this road trip and stuff.
I think so. I think that's what the film was trying to go for. Because at times I was like, is this just filler stuff? Are we just padding out the story, with all that whole scene in the American bar? Is that just all filler? But I don't think it is. It's just nice, cool character stuff, because a lot of the plot is quite simple. Because it just basically just turns into a chase film, like Sonic meets Tom and they just have to get to the rings. That's it. And Robotnik is on their tail. That's basically what the film is. It's just the start. They've got to have a reason for them all to go get together and go on this journey. So the power stuff, in terms of the logic, didn't bother me too much. I get what you're saying, but I think you got to have these kind of bits in there to get your story rolling, But maybe a bit more clever thinking, you could get around it a bit more.
Yeah, I definitely did like the idea at the end of Robotnik's machine being able to go at the speed of Sonic, because then you're like, okay, shit, now this does seem like a real threat.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I wasn't actually expecting that to go, because he said like he had unlocked the power of when he's analyzing it, it's like unlimited power, and I thought, what the hell is this going to do? If his machines have extra battery life, who gives a damn? They almost always get destroyed by Sonic in like 2 seconds anyway. But then it's like, no, it enables him to go like the speed of light. So you're like, wow, that's actually pretty cool. That's a really cool idea. It's a great idea to make him, a big threat at the end. And it does seem like Sonic's kind of playing with him most of the time.
Yeah. So screenplay score for me, I don't think I'll go into the 8. At the end of the day, it's a kid's film, and for fans of the game. It's very simply done. It's not too complicated at all. The characters are really fun. Well, the Carey and Sonic especially. Like the other characters are fine. Like James Marsden is pretty good as the straight guy. Some of his gags at the start with the donuts, they're okay. I guess it's funny, when Sonic calls him the Donut Lord. That was quite fun. So I'll go like a 7.3.
I was just going to say, I think the ending sort of reminded me of, the first Spider-Man film, where everybody's like, get away from him. It's like, well, he's just an alien. What do you care? And they're all like, no,
He's a hedgehog, clearly.
Yeah. But, how they all sort of bound together and are willing to support him. And then, Sonic goes like ultra mode. And, that was pretty cool. I think the only sort of townsperson you kind of get to know, really, though, is like his deputy.
Tom.
Tom's deputy, so, as well as Tom. So it would have been cool if there was like, I don't know, just maybe a little more at the beginning. So it could be like, or maybe if they all had a problem with Sonic at the start, and they all come together. I don't know, like Paddington. I quite like the end of the first Paddington, where several of the guys couldn't really stand Paddington, and then like they all come together to save him. It's like, no, fuck off, this is our bear.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, that feels so strong. So it felt cool. It didn't feel as strong as that. So.
Yeah, I guess you could have had a character that was trying to help Tom, for Sonic, but he's doing it for Tom. He doesn't really like this Sonic guy, but then obviously learns to like him,
Yeah, he doesn't like Sonic, yeah. I think that would have been cool. Like, maybe if you had the deputy hang around with him, or, even his girlfriend, if she was hostile to Sonic, and then you just have, at the end, they genuinely see that he's a good creature. I think that would have hit a lot harder. It was a fun moment, but sometimes it. Yeah.
When you mean hostile to Sonic, what, like try and shoot the bugger?
No, just not like him very much.
All right.
You don't have to try and kill him. That would be kind of fun. Fair. Every chance you get.
What's your score then for screenplay?
Yeah, I thought it was fun enough. It wasn't too complicated. A lot of really cool creative action. Some of the internal logic, I doesn't make that much sense, but it is to set up the movie. Like, yeah, maybe I'll go like a 7.8 or something.
So acting then, or rather, Jim Carrey's acting.
Jim Carrey, yeah.
Yeah, when Jim Carrey first appears as Dr. Robotnik, like, he is amazing when he just, like, ripping into this army major. He's not going, like, full Jim Carrey at this point, but he definitely brings back some nice, like, 90s memories of his movies, like The Mask especially. I love watching The Mask over and over again as a kid on VHS. That was so good. Showing my age there, watch with VHS. Yeah, that's probably my favourite film of his.
All right, Grandad.
You never watched anything on VHS?
Yeah, I did, actually.
Well, there you go then. Grandad Boaz.
Uncle, fuck off.
Yeah. I love Jim Carrey's dance sequence where he's incredible. Waiting for like the blue thingy to finish scanning in like a disco evil lab. It's very weird but funny where he's like virtually skiing and pretends to get his head bitten off by a T-Rex.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Yes, you heard that right. That actually happened in this film. I was like, what the fuck is going on? It's awesome, but I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, he puts like a backwards hologram thing and he's running from a pretend T-Rex. Yeah, it's so weird. And then, his head's missing, but it's under his shirt. I was like...
So random.
I was like, if he actually did that dance fully, even the head tucked under his shirt, that is incredible. His dancing moves are like on point. Yeah. It's just crazy. Like, it doesn't matter how old he gets. He has all the athleticism of a young Jim Carrey. It's like, it's just fucking crazy.
Oh yeah.
It just reminds me of his dancing in the Mask, or his hijinks in like Ace Ventura, and how crazy. Like, fucking hell. He's got moves.
Yeah, there must be loads of different ones on the cutting room floor of variations. I'd love to see all those on like the DVD extras or something. But I think Jim Carrey does add some like really great details in smaller moments as well. Like near the end, like the last action scene is like a great visual blue feast. but I love Jim Carrey's expression when Sonic punches his ship through the portal, and it's just a brilliant, like, open-mouthed expression, a gasp with his hands out in front of him like this. Great for a podcast, but there we go. It's just a great added detail to finish the action scene. I thought I was just like, it's just genius that bit. To add some great humor.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, favorite performance is obviously Jim Carrey.
Yeah, he was smoking.
So score for me for acting. I don't think, obviously, it's not Jim Carrey's best work, I don't think, but it's just nice to see him back again in a film like this, in a character like this. And I think for certainly our generation, we come to watch this film for Jim Carrey. Everyone else is pretty good. They're fine. They, even the voice of Sonic is pretty cool. So yeah, I'll go like 7.9, I think. How about you, sir?
I'll go 7.8.
Right, let's add up the scores then for Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog gets 39.3. Right, my film then came before Welcome to Raccoon City, before the final chapter, before the retribution, before the afterlife, before the extinction, before the apocalypse. There you go. Before all the other animated movies. I am, of course, talking about Resident Evil back in 2002.
That's crazy. I didn't even know they made so many. I think this is literally the only one I've seen, and I watched this when this came out. And I have not seen any of the others. Like, it's just absolutely absurd how many they've made.
Yeah. Paul W.S. Anderson pretty much made them all, apart from the last one, apparently. Raccoon City. Yeah, I found it was quite a difficult decision because, as we said at the start, there aren't a lot of good ones. I think the three for me were between the rebooted Tomb Raider, so the Alicia Vikander Tomb Raider, because I had played that game. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, same.
And Assassin's Creed. I love Assassin's Creed. I've played the first two. They're all like ridiculously long. But I certainly played the first one. There's loads of different variations. I love the concept of Assassin's Creed. But I mean, the action stuff in the Assassin's Creed film is really quite great, actually. But the story is just quite bad, especially the end. They tried to rush it so much. I was just like, bloody hell. But I don't think, to be fair to them, the story of the first Assassin's Creed game wasn't amazing towards the end, I seem to remember. So ultimately I went with Resident Evil. I remember watching this a lot on like TV when it was on late at night, and there's certain scenes I always remember. And I am just a fan of seeing people's head cut off, so that's always funny.
Well, I mean, we were talking about Jim Carrey's head getting cut off. I mean, that was entertaining.
Yeah, in a very different way. Yeah. So what happens in Resident Evil? The opening scene is kind of like set in this underground facility that does experiments on people, I guess, and someone lets off a deadly virus, and basically it infects everyone and turns them into zombies.
Before it turns them into zombies, the security protocols kill everybody and then seal them into the building.
Yeah, and then Mila Jovovich's character, Alice, and Spencer, they get, taken by this elite, like, task force, I guess, and they don't remember anything. And then they're brought along to the ride to the Hive and to try and figure out what the hell's going on and save any survivors. That's basically the film, and it's very much a film, one of these classic films of a load of guys go on a mission and they all slowly get taken out one by one, and it's fun. It's quite a departure from the first game, where it's kind of just Alice, going around this massive building, this massive mansion, killing zombies. So it's an interesting change up that they used in this film. What did you make of this film then?
Actually, do you know what? On a rewatch, I haven't watched this film in a long, long time, and like my memory of it was that it was awesome. That was my memory of it. And then,
yeah,
but you second guess yourself. There have been all these fucking sequels. I haven't watched really any of them. I've seen all these clips. And I'm like, I don't know. So I haven't really seen any clips of this film for a long time. Rewatching it again, apart from like, there's a thing at the end which has not aged well, and it's basically most of the third act. But most of it, I'm like, yeah, this is actually pretty cool. This is pretty awesome. Like in a sort of cheesy, action, movie, and you're like, this is actually pretty cool. I think this might be as good as I remembered. The only time where it kind of, I'm like, nah, this didn't age well is with the giant liquor monster. With the giant tongue and stuff that's hunting them, the hunter or whatever.
Yeah.
Like most of the film, I'm like, yeah, man, this is aged really well. The zombies and the decapitation and the killing and all that. I'm like, holy shit, this is really aged well. It comes to that hunter, you're like, what the fuck is that? It's like Nintendo 64 graphics.
I don't know
hell is that thing?
what that was.
Yeah.
I thought it was just an homage to the graphics of the game, but there we go.
Yeah, I don't know. Because like they're running from it for quite a while, but you're like, good God, that looks awful. That looks really, really bad. So I kind of wish it was just zombies. I think they got the practical effects down to a T. That just looks great. Maybe they should have just, not gone into a fully CGI character for the end.
Directing, then. I quite like the opening sequence with Chekhov's lift. I really liked how those scenes are played out because it keeps like second guessing you. There's a lot of like moments in this film what you don't expect, and it kind of second guesses you, which I really liked in this film. A bunch of people are in this like high security facility. They get stuck in a lift because of the virus, and the place is shutting down. The people in the lift first hear the screams of the people in the lift next to them and slowly realize that they could be next, and they are, of course. But the brakes suddenly come on when they manage to open the doors a tiny bit. Miss Black thinks she can fit through but gets stuck at the top of the lift doors, and you're like, oh, your head's going to come off now. You hear the brakes starting to fail, then the lift moves sharply but stops right at the floor level. Then you're like, oh, she survives. That's disappointing. Then the lift decides to go up really fast, even though she could probably get out, inside now. And then they cut it. Again, slightly disappointing, but I just feel like they were really creative in how they were using, the lifts. I just thought that was quite clever.
Yeah.
Possibly masking the fact that they can't do too much extravagant stuff in what's supposed to be a high-tech facility. But hey, I thought that was quite cool. They could have maybe done something a bit more different with the fact that it is so high-tech, but maybe budgetary things. Let's just use a lift.
Yeah.
But it was still fun.
It was. I thought it was actually. It was paced really well, just as you were saying. Like, I think we've had this discussion about how you should shoot suspense, and just you tease the audience. You go, "Oh, it's going to happen." Oh no, it didn't. Oh shit, it might still happen. Oh no, it did. And then it just happens, and you're like, "Oh shit." Yeah. And I think it does a good job doing that. Another scene I quite like the pacing of is actually at the end. So that was really good. I thought the pacing there was good. Actually, no. Actually, I think there's throughout. They do pace some surprises and scenes like that, and I think that's really good. So, but I would say, like, the fact that Rain, she's been bitten so many times, is like, she is going to be a zombie, and you're like, when the hell is she going to turn? And she looks like she's dying, and she injects her. She's like, if I turn, promise you'll kill me. I don't want to turn into one of those things. It's like, no, you'll be fine. Yeah. And then it looks like she's dead. She just kind of, boom, like that. And, obviously Mila is very concerned. And it's like looking at her, oh, wait, she's dead. And then like, oh, God, she's going to turn into a zombie. Then looking at the gun, looking at her, reaching for the gun. Yeah. And then you're thinking she's going to jump up and like scare her as a zombie or whatever, pointing the gun at her. And then she like reaches her hand out, but she's alive, and she's like, I'm not dead yet. Only to, a couple of seconds later, actually spring back up as a zombie. I thought that's done pretty well. And it coincides with the monster coming in, so you even forget about that, she might be a zombie. I'm like, oh shit, she is a zombie. I like how that was all paced out, because you kind of tease it, you build the suspense, and then you do a payoff afterwards, after you think it's all over. And they did that quite a few times, and I thought that's pretty good. The other time I thought that was really well done was at the laser scene.
Oh, yeah. That's the scene I always remember.
I always remember that scene. Yeah, I remember that scene like clear as day.
That's my favourite scene.
Even when I was a kid, because that freaked me out. I think it was the first time I'd ever seen a body eviscerated, like literally. He is cut into tiny pieces. But even how that's done, like, he's dodging all of them. And, how his team, like, the lasers go so finely that woman, her head just, like, falls off incredibly slow. She's, like, stood up.
Yeah, I love that.
And he's, like, dodging all of that. Yeah. And then another laser comes. It's like, we've nearly got it. And it's back to him and back to them. And one single laser's coming to him, and you're like, he's got this. And then it's like a fucking... an entire like
net of lasers.
A net of lasers.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Oh shit, guys, hurry up!" And they're like, "Dude, we got it."
Just says shit.
Yeah, and like they literally press the button, and it just slowly goes straight through him, and you're like, "Holy shit!" And then it stops, and then he falls to pieces.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
He just says shit, then becomes mincemeat.
Yeah.
But I love how the music suddenly just cuts out and Salmon again is just completely still. Then in a close-up, the focus goes on his face, and then just pieces of him just slide away. Then the focus goes on Alice in the window, and you see like the reflection of the shiny door and all the other pieces of the salmon. You fall away, like a nicely cooked fillet in butter and lemon, because he's called Salmon, the actor Colin Salmon.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good gag. But...
yeah, that's the sort of gag like fucking Hannibal Lecter would come up with. Salmon, you look good in some butter.
Yes,
fucking psychopath. But yeah,
but I think my favourite bit of that, like, there's a moment where the laser gets very naughty and cheats a bit. I think where the laser starts off quite low. And then just as one of the guys tries to jump over it, the laser just shoots up to his torso. And it becomes quite funny how the guy just jumps right into it.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
But yeah, I just like how the way, obviously that first cut off head from that woman is just, again, it kind of cuts away and you're like, oh, that's disappointing. You don't see it. But then when you come back to her, the way just her head just slides off, it's like, ugh, and she's completely still. That was very, very gruesome. That's definitely by far my favorite scene. But yeah, there's so many moments where this film kind of like second guesses you, and it's building up to something, but then something else happens. It does that quite a few times.
Yeah, it does that quite a few times. I think where one of the guys, he's like separated from the group, and all the zombies are coming at him, and they're so close, and he's got one bullet left, and he's like, figures. They're so close to him, and this one is like literally clawing its way up him, and he puts the gun in his mouth, and you're like, okay, yeah, this is over. And then it cuts to Mila Djokovic and her people like leaving through the grate and stuff, and they hear a shot, and you think, okay, yeah, he's killed himself. Yeah. Only to go back to him, and he's used the bullet on the zombie that was getting really close to his face, and then he's like, you'll have to work for your meal, and like, sort of escaped. But I thought that was done really well as well, because you're like, oh yeah, he's dead. Oh yeah, they're drawing this out. Oh, it's like, oh no, shit, he's alive. Okay, yeah, that was done pretty well.
I do feel like the film is really harsh on Kaplan, though, because you think he's left for dead on those broken pipes, and he has a good heroic moment, like you just said. Well, there's another one where he fries the red queen.
Salmon's the red cream, isn't he?
Yes. But he has a heroic moment where he fries the Red Queen to let them out of the flooded room, to then, like, the film literally kills him 5 minutes later by the mutant monster thing. And I thought that was just really harsh by the filmmakers.
Yeah. Not even with like any sort of pomp. Nobody screams like, ah!
It's like heroic moment and dead.
He's just dead. He just get pulled out of the train. He's fucking dead.
It was just weird how quickly, heroic moment, then literally a few minutes later he's gone. He's dead.
Yeah.
Well, that's really harsh. I quite like the shootout scene where a zombie slowly walks towards them on a like broken ankle, dragging an axe.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
You know, the scene was cut really nicely with like the gun action, and I always love like a machine gun going off in slow motion. But you also have the added intrigue of them shooting at these tanks with like slimy things inside and air bursts out of them. And you're watching all this gun action and wondering why they're all not shooting them in the head.
Yeah.
You're also wondering when are these creatures coming out of the tanks to attack them, which makes the surprise reveal of JD being eaten for lunch when the zombies come through the door quite a nice surprise, because all the intrigue is with like the tanks. Again, like another second guess.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Because with that, I love that sequence because they're really struggling to open the elevator, isn't it? You've got to open the elevator and they keep getting the code wrong. It's like, hurry the fuck up, man. And you just, all the suspense. And he finally gets the code right. And there are zombies in the goddamn elevator that just snatch him up.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit. You're like, I wasn't expecting that. That's done really well. They do that quite a lot in this film.
Yeah, it's a great surprise.
Yeah, I think the pacing of surprises in this film are really good.
The suspense.
Whoever shot this, like, he knows suspense. He knows how to make suspense actually work.
Paul W.S. Anderson.
I like the first time you see a zombie as well, because that really freaked me out when I was younger. And watching it again, you're that's pretty cool. But, you know, it's in the...
when it comes out the water.
You know, the place where they basically... He drowned... You know, the Red Queen drowned a bunch of them. And she walks by, Rain does, and goes, oh, poor bastards. And... You know, she just walks, almost as soon as she's out of shot, eyes just pop open and, like, touches the glass. I was like, holy fucking hell.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah. I thought it was quite a creative jump scare, but I think they kind of, you could see it coming a bit too early for me, for it to be scary. I guess the water should have been a bit more thicker.
Yeah, maybe waited a couple more seconds.
I like the scene where Alice meets the dogs covered in last night's bolognese, where she escapes to another room, then goes into a jump scare of like another zombie and kicks him to the ground. And there's another brilliant tension moment where Alice tries to slowly take the gun away from him. And you're like, is he going to bite her? Is he going to bite her? Nope. The zombie dog crashes through the window and attacks her. She manages to escape by trapping the dog in the room. But no, there's now loads of dogs on the other side. Then the execution of the directing to take out all the zombie dogs was really well crafted, to like the brilliant slow-mo close up on the bullet casing, and that brilliant kick as Alice goes round the wall on each step was awesome. I was like, oh, that's really kick-ass.
Again, I like how it's done, because it makes you, it's not like it's seamless, like she gets into a fight with the dog, gets into a fight with the zombie, gets into a fight with a bunch of dogs, then kicks the last dog. I think that's how most directors would have directed that. But how that's done she's running from a dog, and then, you know, you think it's over, then there's a zombie. You think it's done. Yeah. Then there's a zombie. Then she beats the zombie. Then you're not sure if the zombie's dead. Then it's the dog, you know, a bunch of dogs. Then she shoots all the dogs. Then you think it's done. But there's still another dog left, and then she... And I kind of like that. It's like, that's not how you would see an action scene get filmed.
No.
You know, you would see it get filmed, you know, it just happens. It all happened. But the fact that almost every scene is done, whether it's a scary scene or an action scene, of just building suspense. And I think that's where it's really good. It's like, no, we're done here. Oh, no, surprise, we're not done. You know, no surprise, motherfucker, we're not done. It's done really well like that, I think.
I feel like they've really planned this really meticulously with all the surprises, because they're like they you know, it's easy to set up a particular moment of, you know, is the zombie going to bite her or whatever. They've set up a suspense sequence, but I feel like the filmmakers are thinking, okay, this is the obvious thing. What other possibility can happen to surprise the audience? I feel like they've done that with every suspense sequence. Is there anything else we can do to change this up? You know, is there another surprise than the obvious? You know, and I think this film delivers that really well. But these zombies do suck at times. Like, Hal Kaplan doesn't die when the pipes give way and he falls into the load of them and they don't eat him immediately is beyond me. I'm like, what? Do they not like the smell of him or something? Doesn't taste nice?
Yeah, I
I
don't
thought
know.
that was weird.
Maybe he farted as he landed. Oh God, man, Jesus!
I mean, that must be one damn bad fart if zombies are like not willing to eat him. I actually really liked the final battle on the train. I thought that was really cool. Yes, you can tell very clearly when the monster is done with digital effects and practical effects, but the practical effects looked really good in my opinion and disgusting.
I think when she started shooting him, and then it's actually practical brain matter and stuff. You're like, yeah, that actually looks pretty good.
There's a few shots where you can tell it's practical.
Yeah, I think I just conceptually like the train scene with the monster. Like, I like the shots. I like how they take it down.
Yeah.
So I like the entire scene, and I like the shot. It's just the visual effects on the monster. I just cannot get over that. It's just, it doesn't look good. And I've got to be honest, I can't give a film a pass just because it was made in whatever time. I'm just going to go, that just didn't look right. But I did like the scene conceptually. I thought it was pretty good. And obviously I like how they solve the problem with Rain getting back up, and he shoots her, because it's basically, he's got to make a decision. He doesn't really have much ammo, and he's got to close the door to stop the monster from getting through, because it cuts off his tongue and he rolls under the train. And I like how he shoots Rain in the head as she's like roaring right at him. Bang! And then she falls onto the button, and then that closes the door. I thought that was that was done really cool. Where you're like, oh man, creative, that's like, it's like you're thinking with bullets there,
Thinking with bullets.
Yeah,
cool. I mean, with the graphics thing, I don't. Again, I am willing to give it a pass because it is based on a video game that has similar graphics. So
no, I just
me,
don't.
In my heart, it's
okay.
like it's a homage.
Yeah, you can carry on.
I think any other film that's not based on a game, then shit graphics. But because it's based on bad graphics anyway, it's fine in my heart, not my head, in my heart.
You can have that. I don't let that fly. I'm like, no, I got to call out bad graphics. I think because I even upset you when we were talking about the Evil Dead, and I said, the stop motion stuff was, awful. I fucking hate the stop motion. And you were like, oh, but it's I'm like, I don't care. I can tell it's stop motion. So,
it's charming.
Yeah, I don't care. It's got to look real. If it doesn't look real, I'm not interested.
It was a load of bones. I mean, how do you make that real in the 80s?
I don't know. Find a way. It's not my fucking issue. But I mean, I gave that film a good review anyway. But I'm just saying, the point I'm making is with visual effects. With visual effects, I don't really accept the
don't take prisoners.
It was good for its time trope. I don't accept that shit. It's like if I think of it this way: if it was in the era of like Terminator 2, it's got no excuse to look bad. Yeah. This film was shot after Terminator 2.
Enough.
It has no goddamn excuse to look. That's my pinnacle of judging every movie's visual effects.
All right. So all the zombies need to look shiny chrome.
Yeah, but if you go like
shiny chrome zombies, that would be awesome.
Yeah, you go, it's an early 2000s film. You got to cut it some slack. I'm like, no, Terminator 2, 91, look fucking phenomenal. You can't pull that shit with me. Yeah.
Even though it was only shiny chrome, but oh well. So
it was the best shiny chrome, though.
As Baby Yoda would say. I think my favorite thing in that scene at the end is the music, though. It's just this really heavy metal sound, which just really kick-ass, so cool. And like the close-up fire effects was really well done as well when the creature gets underneath the tracks and they burn it somehow. It's an explosion or something. Yeah, I thought that was really well done, actually. Visually, really, really good.
Yeah. I liked where Spencer just kind of just how it was shot. It's one of these things. We could go over the script about what it is, but a lot of this isn't just the script. It is really how it's shot. I think the directing needs big props. I think it could have been done way so much different than this. You could have shot this script like pretty mundanely, but this is done like with a lot of style. But I like when they do all these constant flashbacks of her past, and like, did she betray them?
Oh yeah,
and I love Spencer's. He becomes a bad guy, and it turns out he's always been a bad guy, and he just remembered that he actually did all this. And I just love it when all that shit snaps into place, and how that's filmed is just incredible. I just thought it was great. I thought it's great how it like goes through his mind as it's like, in the room, and then his face as he's like remembering, and his irises, and he's remembering, and like, going through the flashbacks of how he did the plan, and how he, stole the virus, and he set the virus off. And I just love how it's done. You're like, oh shit. And the music as well. You're like, oh my God, this is badass. And it's like, and then he's a bad guy. He's got a gun. Like, oh my God, that's so cool. I just thought that was done really well. And yeah, I think the music really helped from that.
Yeah, I think a lot of that flashback stuff was actually all in-camera stuff. I think they were kind of just messing around with like light exposures, overexposing in flashes and stuff. I thought that was really quite clever.
Yeah,
the way they did that.
Yeah,
not much visual effects really.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite flashbacks, because of how inventive it was, is where the room basically turns while she's there. She's looking around, and then you see kind of like ghost images of the workers that were there, and then they sort of become more real, and then the whole place changes to how it was in the past. And you're like, oh, this is pretty weird, because it does flashbacks in a different way, where it kind of focuses on their face, and then it literally goes inside their mind, and you have, as you were saying, like the overexposed cuts, and jump cuts and stuff. But that's the only flashback that is much different than that. It's like she literally just, the room turns into the past. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I think there are a lot of really great choices directing-wise where you're like, yeah, man, I think you've shot this script really well. And even after all these years, I don't think it is nostalgia to say, yeah, I think this was an enjoyable film.
Directing score, Baz, what are you going for?
Yeah, I might go pretty high because, again, I'm just appreciating how good it is. So I'm not going to go insane high, but off the cuff, I'm thinking an 8.6. Like, that's just my feeling.
Okay.
But yeah.
I'm not sure I'd go as high as that, but I agree with you. It's got a lot of flair and a lot of style, and there's certain scenes where I'm just like, yeah, this looks really awesome. Just, the laser scene, amazing. The dog scene, zombie dog scene was amazing. Like the gun battle stuff was good, but I feel like it could have been better. So I'll go like 8.4, I think. Right, screenplay then. The exposition scene was quite clunky, but I still quite enjoyed it, where Mila Jovovich as Alice demands to know what's going on before they enter the hive, and Colin Salmon as One gets out his virtual, or gets someone else to get out their virtual PowerPoint presentation about Raccoon City, that the hive is underground, and they do like top secret experiments, etc. down there. That Alice and her husband are part of this security team guarding an exit in that large house. Alice never asks, so why are we here and not guarding the entrance? But you just roll with it a bit, I guess. And I guess it does add to the mystery of why this elite team need Alice so much. I mean, it's not a massive mystery, I guess, because she's a badass. She's really good at her job. I guess they needed her.
Yeah, I mean, she doesn't know she's a badass until like halfway through, where it's like, oh God, I'm a badass.
Yeah, but they do, though.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
I'd imagine so. There's no point in bringing
there's no point in bringing them.
From a screenwriting point of view of the laser death scene, you don't expect more than half your crew to die so quickly within the first 30 minutes. You would expect like each soldier to die, throughout the film, but not loads at once, which I thought was a good way to set up your film. But they didn't mention at all that Michelle Rodriguez and the other two were left behind. I was thinking, hang on, where are the others? They were never told to hang back and wait. I did rewind it and check, and they were never told. They just stay there. It's not particularly very clear on what they're doing.
So surviving for the second half.
Yeah, pretty much. You're like, no, I'm going to stay here.
Yeah,
you go first. We're hanging back.
They're needed for the second chapter.
I just felt like something was probably cut out, maybe just to save time, just the explanation of why they were just hanging back. because I did feel the need to actually hang on. Where are the others? Yeah, the flashback stuff. We've kind of talked about how that was done. That was interesting. Where Alice is trying to remember what happened. But the more you learn about what's happened, that Alice made a deal with one of the scientists to expose the Umbrella Company. And I was like, you're looking quite dumb here, that you didn't realize that the Red Queen could gas you and lose all your memories.
Yeah.
But it's revealed that actually Spence released the T-virus and not Alice, and Spencer was the dumb one and not Alice. I felt fairly relieved that our hero wasn't the dumbass, but still, your big house is still an emergency exit, and you don't think to do more research on the Hive or the Red Queen, or just simply get the fuck out of Raccoon City. Yeah, it did feel a little dumb to me.
Well, it's not the best planned heist, I suppose. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he is a dumbass. I don't know. You don't really know that much about him. He nearly got away with it, though. He was so close to the exit.
Yeah.
I do like that twist where he's like, yeah, I was literally on the train where you found me.
I guess it was maybe the fact that it just underestimated how clever the Red Queen was as an AI, maybe. But I felt like, I don't know, I think we just needed more at the start about how sophisticated the Red Queen was, rather than just people just talking about her. So yeah, it did feel a little dumb, but the rest of the film is still pretty entertaining and fun. You kind of do let it slide a little bit.
Yeah. I think one thing that I would kind of want is... So yeah, one of the things I found kind of interesting is like how much Mila kind of really wants to save the other characters. Like she gets kind of like a sort of savior complex. Like she doesn't want any of them to die. I don't know. Yeah. Like I thought that was cool. But I think one of my problems, especially when she was worried Rain would die, is like, other than running from things with these people, you haven't really talked to these people. Why do you care as much?
No. I guess she's just
really empathetic. Yeah,
preoccupied and just trying to remember what the fuck is going on, what happened.
She's just a natural hero or whatever. But I thought maybe that would have been cool if they had like some downtime, because there's not much downtime, but just like for a minute or two, where they just get to know each other, so that it would kind of make sense why, I suppose it's not even just for her, I suppose it's for the audience. I think, again, we've talked about this many times when we come to script writing, but like if some characters die and I don't really care, say that the character cares, the main character's like, no! Like, for example, Rain's boyfriend, who dies very early on, in JD, the elevator, JD or something. Like, she's obviously incredibly distraught. I don't know who the fuck this guy is. I couldn't care less. And that's also why I think it's a really cool scene where he shows up again and she can't bring herself to shoot him, because it's like, JD? And then he bites her. But I think if I had seen them, like, interact before shit started to go down, like maybe that would have been a much cooler scene. I would have been like, oh no, you can't shoot him.
But I feel like this is the type of film where you don't want to add too much of the slow stuff. I feel like this film is quite good because it's quite fast paced.
Yeah, this film it definitely doesn't waste its time. It hits the ground running. It just gets going. Actually, I think that's kind of interesting because I think that's what we're even saying about Sonic. Like Sonic just gets started. I think this starts more immediately even than Sonic. It's like, shit's just going down and they need to... She's recruited, she doesn't even know what's going on, and they're already killing things.
But I do get the sense in this film that the crew is quite tight-knit and quite close anyway, because they don't really want... Because they're all told by the Red Queen that the virus is in the blood now, and if you get bitten, you're fucked. You're going to get turned into a zombie. They know that. But they kind of... they really want to save everyone. They're really not like willing to like take Rain out or JD so they don't get infected themselves.
I kind of get it from a character motive and the things you can infer. I'm just saying, I think even if you have like 5 minutes where they just chill out and they get to know each other a bit, or at least we get to know them a bit. And then when they start getting picked up, again, I would say like a perfect example would be like Aliens, or Alien, you literally have some minutes where you get to know these military guys, and it's like when they start to get eviscerated and vanish and get shot and get torn up, you actually care. You're like, oh shit, I actually, I know what they mean to each other. But this movie doesn't have as many slow bits. I'm saying maybe it could have benefited from just a couple of minutes of, you get to know what they're about, and then they start to die. And then you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, I don't think you could really fit any of that stuff in, like, in the heat of the action when they're actually in the hive. But I think you maybe could have had more snappy dialogue before they get in there when they're capturing Alice and Spence, maybe.
So I say when they get into the house, maybe how I would have done it, and they Mila Djokovic is woken up and they just burst in, and the other guy as well, the cop or whatever, Lucas, I can't remember, and Spencer, and they're getting all them together, and then they're explaining the mission. They basically just explain the mission as they're walking and go straight into the hive. I think if you made some excuse that they couldn't open the door just yet, they need to wait a few minutes, then they chill for maybe like 5 minutes, then you get to know them, and then they go into the hive. And then you can have that momentum of, we can't really stop now. Yeah. But then you've built up some sort of, some emotion for them, some attachment, and then they go in and then they start to die. So you don't even have to change the rest of the film. Maybe just give them a few minutes in the mansion and then go. Yeah. I think maybe it would have been a little better.
I did still feel pretty gutted when Rain does turn into a zombie, though, because it was kind of so close for the antivirus to work. So I was gutted when she turned. And also just because of a casting reason as well. It's like with Michelle Rodriguez, she's awesome. So
she's a great actress.
There's some cool lines in this. You can't do this.
Yeah,
blow me. I shot her 5 times. How was she still standing? Bitch isn't standing now. Yeah, because I'm the one with the machine gun. I added that bit. Enough already. We have to keep moving. Those things are right behind us. You got that? Boom, the zombies appear right behind them. Behind
that was cool.
That was quite a good gag. When you get out of here, I think I'm gonna get laid. You might want to clean up a bit first. I think my favorite line, though, is where one of them says, I can't believe that son of a bitch is going to get away with this. Then the Red Queen says, I don't think so. I've been a bad, bad girl. I thought that was funny.
Shit, I've not been the Messiah. I've been a very naughty, naughty girl. You really do sound like the mother from Life of Brian. Yeah, that's
Who
really
are
bad.
you? Oh, well. Right, definitely picking that film when it comes up. Well, I am.
So, what was another one that I thought was really? I like these kind of witty hero things. Just when they kill the villain, So when she takes Spencer's head off after he becomes a zombie, when he left them, he was like, "I'm missing you already," and then he leaves, and and then she does the same thing. "I'm missing you already," and then cuts his fucking head off. That's cool.
Yeah, is that your favorite?
I'm not sure if that's my favorite. I mean. The whole getting laid thing, that was funny. That was hilarious.
Screenplay score, Mr. Encyclopedia Man.
I think I will give it... Oh, yeah, and it also, segues straight into a sequel. I forgot to mention that. Segues straight into a sequel.
Oh, yeah.
She breaks out of the Umbrella Corporation thing.
Does its 28 Days Later moment.
That is crazy.
Which actually came out the same year.
Yeah.
But that
was pretty good. I like that whole scene. That was really good. So what do I think? I'm gonna go. I'm feeling a 7.8. I think.
Again, I love these type of films where it's just a guys on a mission movie and they all kind of get taken out at some stage. Yes, a lot of them get taken out fairly early on in that amazing laser sequence, which is awesome. That's a great moment of second guessing you and like, oh shit, half of them are dead already. I just love this type of film, but I just can't get away from the fact that it does feel a little dumb when their plan is just deeply flawed. So I'll go like a 7.3. But yeah, by far the directing is the thing that you want to watch.
Yeah, no,
for
definitely.
This film, not really the story or the writing. I mean, it's got cool lines.
Yeah, it has got cool lines, and as we were saying, like the story's fairly basic. Actually, I think I might change it to a 7.5. I think I'm more comfortable with that.
Okay.
But yeah, but that said, it's like I think it's a nice cheesy film. But where I say, I do say the directing really accentuates what's in the script, because I think you could take a lot of these action scenes and just do them how they're written, where it's like, oh yeah, and then she kills a bunch of dogs and she kills them. But just how it's done is just how how it's edited together. You're like, man, this is really, and it is 100% the directing, because you can't make that suspense it's like, the way this is shot, it really brings it out in the action scenes. You're like, fucking hell, this is really good.
This film could easily be really bad if it wasn't for the directing.
This is what I'm saying. Yeah, if you had given this script to any other director and they shot it like a B movie or whatever, which is essentially what the script is, it's like a cheesy movie. You give it to one of them, they could have completely ruined it.
Zombie film, yeah.
And we would have been talking about how, oh man, this was embarrassing. But just how it's directed, you're like, man, given the subject material, you've actually done a pretty good job.
I think other directors could direct this quite well if they were going, right, we need to style this up, But if a director comes in and like, no, we're going to take it really seriously.
Exactly.
Basic shots, let's not have it that stylish. Let's keep it really grounded. It would be terrible.
Yeah, we're going to do it by the book, just how it's written. Oh, she has a flashback. Yeah, we'll do a regular flashback. Yeah. Oh, she has a fight. We'll do a regular fight. But just how it's done, you're like, oh, this is very stylish. You're not like pulling any punches. But yeah, I think it would be memorable if you just, if you gave it to just, a cookie cutter director. You're just like,
all right, acting then. I love the piece of acting from Mila Jovovich when Alice and her husband and Kaplan meet up with Michelle Rodriguez's character Rain after half the crew dies, and Michelle says, "We're not going anywhere until the rest get here." And then the camera cuts to Kaplan, just freezes up, all cowardly. Then cut to Alice, where she looks down and is like, "Nope, I'm not telling her." I found that quite funny. He was like, yeah, I'm not saying nothing. You can.
Yeah.
They're all dead.
Cool. I like her reaction. She's like, what? I think Rain, did you say Michelle Rodriguez? Is that what you said? Yeah, I think she's really good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I quite like her in this film. Yeah, I think she's run away, just like my favorite part of the film, acting-wise. Even though it's not her movie, she's essentially a side character. Oh, yeah. I think she does a pretty damn good job. Everybody else is like, pretty good, they're okay. I think she really kind of works her acting muscles pretty damn hard in essentially a bit part. You're like, damn girl, you're really going for it,
Mila Jovovich and Michelle Rodriguez have like a really intense scene where the Red Queen, the Red Cream again, the Red Queen, damn it! Well,
you got to see a doctor.
We'll open the door to let them out of this flooded room. Unless they kill Rain, Michelle Rodriguez's character, because she's infected. The cutting is nice and fast. They're both really going for it as Alice is about to cut Rain's head off, and she ends up, smashing the TV monitor. And I think it would have been much better maybe if we could see more of Michelle's face, because I think the camera angle isn't low enough for me, because you didn't see her eyes properly, and they're both going for it and like really acting their asses off.
Yeah.
At the same level.
Yeah, I think she does a pretty good job in that too.
But Mila looks better because you can see her properly, So that was a bit of a shame, that bit. But yeah, I think some of their best moments are when Alice gives Rain the antivirus and you think it hasn't worked and Rain is going to come back as a zombie, but no, she regains consciousness, and I think they're both really good, especially Michelle Rodriguez, because I suspect acting like you're heavily infected is quite difficult over a long period of time, and to give us a very clear progression of infected states was really nicely done from Rodriguez, and I think it's more her performance than the makeup for me. And again, it's pretty gutting when she does turn in her performance, 'cause she's quite likable. So yeah, my favorite performance is Michelle Rodriguez, definitely. I mean, Mila Jovovich is still really quite kick-ass in this film. I don't think she's in the same standard as Rodriguez.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with you. Well, I definitely agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't think there are many
yeah.
actors or actresses in this film that really are her level. I think she does stand out. She's quite a diamond. But yeah, I mean, Mila Djokovic, I mean, she's cool. She's cool, and she does do some pretty good acting. And, you know, there's some cool acting from, you know, a lot of the guys. Even, was it Camper or Kappa or whatever? Kaplan, that's the one. I thought he was pretty cool. I thought a lot of the acting was pretty cool.
Yeah, he plays a good quivering tech guy.
Yeah, I do still think. Yes, Rodriguez, she's just still does shine. She just really shines above, even though it's not her film, you know, which is crazy. But you know,
yeah, I didn't like Eric Morbius. No, hang on, he's not a vampire. He probably should be in that film. I don't know. The fact that his acting wasn't great. Eric Mabius as Matt, like the undercover cop. I didn't think he was great.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling him either.
No.
I really wasn't. Yeah, I didn't know what the hell he was going on.
He did feel very expressionless in a lot of high intense scenes. I'm like,
yeah, you're like, man, you're close to death.
Surely you should be more scared right now.
Everybody else is doing it. Like they actually look like they're going to die. You look like it's like a slow weekend or something. I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling his performance. I do think he was probably the weakest. No, I think he was definitely the weakest of the group.
So acting score bars, what you going for?
I think if I'm going to just even it out because of the cast and stuff, you know, because I do think, you know, Michelle Rodriguez is really, really good, but I don't think the rest of the cast, like they're okay, and then some are like a bit crap, like Matt. You know, he's not that great. He's kind of draws you out of it a bit. So I don't know. Like I'm tempted to go as low as like a 6.9 or a 6.8, but I think that might be a bit unfair. So I'm gonna go a 7.
Okay,
just like a straight middle of the road. Yeah.
All right, straight 7. Yeah, I think that's fair, to be honest.
Again, I'm just doing this like if all things are equal. I think if you're saying just Rodriguez, I mean, she is doing a really damn good job. I would go high 8s or just a 9, even just for her. But I think you've got to mediate the other guys.
Colin Salmon was great until he became Salmon.
I would have loved him to be in the movie longer. Like he was really great. I love his performances anyway. I think he's awesome. But he wasn't in the film that long.
Certainly when I was younger, I was like, oh, yes, it's the guy from GoldenEye. The guy from GoldenEye is in this.
His eyes are falling off. I guess they weren't made of gold.
Yeah. Also, like, I got to say, like, the video game genre is way ahead of the movie industry in terms of, like, kick-ass female action heroes. Like, you got, you know, Alice from all the Resident Evil games and Tomb Raider, Lara Croft, you know. They came, you know, they're in the 90s.
Samus. Yeah, well, I mean, fucking hell, Metroid. Jesus Christ, that was like ages ago.
Yeah, Metroid Prime. Props to the video game industry.
It now seems like half of all games, you know, there's some badass, you know, like AAA games, badass female protagonist.
So I'll go 7.2, I think. Right, let's add up the scores for Resident Evil. Resident Evil gets exactly 46. So unfortunately, Sonic is getting what's coming to him, and that's a lawsuit from the Tortoise, and loses this one to Resident Evil.
No, so wait, so the Blue King loses to the Red Queen.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's why Boaz gets...
I get the big bucks.
Is on here for free.
Yeah. I get paid nothing, and I do absolutely jack shit.
Right, that's it then for this week. Next week, as Batman. Yes, you heard it right. Translated as The Batman is coming out. Yes, we've added the on the front.
That's how you know it's serious.
That's very exciting to see this film. So yeah, next week, next episode, we'll be doing Batman films. Plus, we are having our first guests on our show from the Film Me In podcast. So it'll be very exciting. And I think with this one, me and Boaz will team up and we'll play against the Film Me In podcast. So definitely tune in for a few weeks' time for that one. Should be a cracker. All right. Yeah. Thanks, Boaz. You have been amazing. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.
That's it for this week's pod. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to find out more about the podcast or suggest future topics for us to discuss related to upcoming releases, let us know on Instagram at Film vs. Film Podcast and on Twitter at FVF_podcast. Remember, please subscribe. Pod signing off.